Hey everyone, it's Spicy Sushi. So I know a lot of you on the channel love to follow what I'm doing build-wise or, strategy-wise week one. So I decided to bundle both of those together. It might be a little scuffed since it might be super long and I'm not great at the whole YouTube thing, but I have spent a long time putting all this together. So hopefully, the game is about having fun and doing what you want to do, obviously, what brings you the most enjoyment. And I'm hoping maybe the time I put on this might give you some ideas and might, give you maybe something new you want to challenge yourself with week one in a Path of Exile league. So today, I'm going to go over my league starter, which I've decided is going to be EA Ballista. I did EA Ballista last league, but I was honestly a bit disappointed in it, but it's actually because I built the build extremely squishy, I think, and did not put enough investment in it. Since I went straight for a Mage Blood. I'm not going to do that again. I'm definitely going to put Mage Blood as a second priority. I'm going to basically try to put together a very strong build to start. And as you see here, the early build prototype that I put together is just absolutely destroying these grand design maps. If you don't know what grand design is, I'll put a picture up on screen. Basically, notables that we pick on the atlas are going to scale our pack size, and that is the strategy that I'm going to be rushing with Harvest and Expedition. Since with the new changes, Harvest scaling off of map quantity, grand design is actually a very strong synergy between Expedition and Harvest, and the new 3.19 atlas buffs, which we'll go over, actually buffs grand design because there's new master mission nodes in the middle. Expedition scales really well off of pack size since runic monsters come in very small packs. I think rare runics might actually come in one runic, so if you get 100% pack size, you're going to be doubling those runics. And it's going to be very strong with Harvest too, since rares are going to, as you saw in the videos, the Harvest monsters come in very small packs. So if we're going to be doubling those rare packs and stuff, we're going to be getting a lot of life force, hopefully. And also, since I'm not fully investing in Harvest, it's just a red alert, Harvest ends up being absolutely garbage, like GGG needs to buff it, like it's comical what they did to it. Like when it comes to life force numbers, we can easily pivot out of it. Now, I decided on EA because it's still strong and a very chill playstyle. I'm doing some pretty difficult content here on stream, and I'm just running through with the one-button playstyle. Like, these maps are very juiced, as you can see. It's a lot of fun, honestly. Grand design is probably the most fun I've had in PoE when it comes to mapping, because there's not even like heavy investment, and there's just so many monsters on the screen. It's honestly a lot of fun. But for EA specifically, the spell suppression nerfs didn't really hit the build that hard because you can still get 100% since EA actually, even if you're Witch, Ignite EA Ballista actually passed to the right side of the tree, so you're able to pick up those spell suppression nodes. And we're able to get 100% elemental ailment avoidance because we are right by Ranger. So it's actually incredibly strong, since even after the 20% nerfs, it should be very easy to hit 8 to 10 mil plus DPS on a league starter budget. I say league starter budget when mainly I'm talking about me, since, like I said, this is not a build guide. I'm not going to be very hand-holdy because I feel pretty bad if I miss things for new players, so this is not going to be geared towards that. But I know a lot of you like to follow my League Start build, and I've created 4 POBs actually to make it a bit easier for you if you do decide to follow what I'm doing. It's going to be a heist into mapping, into blueprints, into grand design, and I've created 4 POBs for the leveling and all that stuff. And obviously, you can always just check out Palstron for his EA guide if you want to have an in more depth, League Start guide experience. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the POBs before we get into the strategy. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the 4 POBs that I've made for myself. Now, I just want to go over again, this is not a guide. There's going to be things that you may be like, how is this League Start friendly? It's probably not for most people, but I wanted to make these. I've spent a lot of time on these because I know some of you like to follow what I do, and a lot of you are like more intermediate to hardcore players, and so this will be no problem at all for you. I expect to have a lot of this gear, maybe even day 1 of the league, but I try to be a little bit lenient on the POBs because I do know some of you like to follow it, and so I wanted to make it as easy to understand as possible, because I know some of my POBs I put out for my strategy in the past have literally skipped straight to the end, and so it's been pretty hard for people that do like to follow along. It wasn't intended to be a guides in the past, but I felt pretty bad about it, so that's why I put a lot of effort into these, so like a lot of time. But so for the leveling, This is what I usually follow for leveling. It's made by Exile. There's a lot of respecking that you have to do. This entire thing right here has to be respect when it comes to when you start specking into Endless Heist. Endless Heist is going to give a lot of regret orbs, and also you get a lot of regrets from doing the campaign anyway through quests, so it's not really that big of an issue, but basically you get rid of that later on to spec into the heist strat. So it is a lot of respect points, but this is basically what I follow. He has like the entire skills, like basically what you get while leveling. It's really hard to mess up armor brand cremation leveling, but there it is. It's a very strong starter. Did not get nerfed at all either. So that's the leveling POB. We have the Endless Heist POB, which is we're gonna get there with armor brand cremation. Then we're gonna basically within an hour probably respec over to EA. This is that setup right here. We path all the way down here. We have to start getting some evasion nodes basically for Queen of the Forest, which helps out because we are specking into EA anyway. So if we were going to like Maw or some other like Ignite Vortex, it would be honestly a massive pain to come down here and then respec back. I didn't want to do Ranger because I do want to League Start Witch so that I can play like Arakali Fang later, so that's why I am doing Endless Heist as Witch. But as you see, the movement speed is exceptional. We don't even have Adrenaline on yet, which hopefully I can get from the new Death Rush ring. If you didn't know, you're going to get permanent uptime basically on kill. That'll be a really nice movement speed multiplier as well. But yeah, this is going to be level 67. I could not figure out how to get this to work lower than 67. I usually like to Endless Heist around 62. But I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and maybe go to Blood Aqueducts a bit, because I don't think I can even drop Hired Killer and stuff because the recovery is just too strong in Heist. The only thing I could see myself dropping is this right here, but it's really quality of life for the mana regen and the extra life. So it would be, I'd be down to like 2.4k, although I think my Heister last league was even lower and it was fine. When you have like 50k evasion, monsters just aren't able to hit you with attacks at that level. They're just not ready for that kind of wall of defense when you're in the campaign. So yeah, but basically the most important thing is you don't kill Katavas so that you don't suffer pretty high resistance penalties, so you're able to have Purity of Elements. And then we have Grace, we're going to have Vol Haste. We can't reserve Haste because we need to reserve Precision. For the hit chance. We have the main thing for rogues is to know is the rogue protector setup. You're going to want to use basically what you do is you just speed through dropping totems, you run to the door, you drop frost walls and your decoy totems so your rogue will not get interrupted when opening doors. So you don't have to kill things, but they won't get interrupted. And then we have the Arcanist brand Wave of Conviction setup. Basically, when you get to the door, you'll drop this, and this should just be pumping everything with Wave of Conviction, applying combustion, flammability, all that stuff. Because we are at this point, we are going to have the. I'm not going for the last lab unless I want to. Like, I don't think I'm going to need this shock right here. I really don't. So I'm probably just going to do the first 2 labs. But it is an option for this. But we do want the exposure when we get to a door and put down Wave of Conviction. Also the regeneration, right? So that's going to be pretty important. But anyway, if you do decide to go all the way to the 3rd lab, that's what we're going to get right there. Or Bastion, just to feel safer if you don't need the DPS. This is really high DPS, even though we're only 10 fuses. Might only even be 5 fuses. But 300k DPS is going to be a lot for campaign level Heist. So it is very unique dependent though. Very unique dependent. These aren't hard to get uniques at all, but besides Devotos might be expensive. If not, I'm just going to go the Onslaught Helmet, Thrill Steel, if that's cheap. But if they rebalance uniques and they're actually very rare now, I'm actually probably going to pivot out of Heist. We're going to go over the 2 strategies, the 2 options, so you won't feel like you're desperate if you got this whole, if you're trying to get put together the Endless Heist build, you can't get any of the items, and you're just like lost on what to do. It's going to have like a pivot that I plan on doing because I prepared for that. So we'll go over that in a little bit though. Anyway, that's the Endless Heist setup. 355% movement speed, 380% if you're able to get the Death Rush rings. That should feel pretty good for the strategy that we're going to cover. Now let's cover the GD setup. This is what I plan to have. When I get to day 3 of the league or day 4, when it's time to start farming Grand Design, I've completed my Atlas. Like I said, we'll go over all that after this, but I know you're going to look at this and be like, how is some of this league start like unnatural? Well, I know it's my league start though, right? So these are things that I personally plan to have, and so it's what I've been testing. I'm not going to do GD until I get this set up because it feels very good currently, and I don't want to play, and honestly, I don't want to go lower than this. besides maybe a few things like spell suppression I could drop a bit of. So we have the Sleepless Sentries Ancestral Echo cluster, very classic EA Totem Ballista cluster. I know it's kind of troll only having a medium, but I don't think I'm going to have the passive points for a large right now because I need to have that spell suppression cap and that 100% to avoid ailments. So, but I want that permanent onslaught uptime. It feels way too good, so that's why I'm doing that. The Rain of Splinters, obviously. Unnatural Instinct is going to feel exceptional. I would hate to drop this, but if for some reason it's insanely rare now, I just will have to spend the passive points to go this way, and then I'll just have to drop passive points on damage basically here, and then probably some spell suppression stuff here. But yeah, those are options. I would really not like to drop that though, but that's basically the way you do it. You just drop passive points. But anyway, the gear... But keep in mind, yeah, we are 100% spell suppression. We are overcapped, actually, with this setup. So that gives you a lot of flexibility, a bit of flexibility on gear. You can get some T2 rolls if you still want to be spell suppression capped. We have... The gloves are so important. I would not play EA and maps and stuff until you at least get these implicits. That's one reason I'm going to Heist, is because I really want this Fire Exposure, Ignite, Prolif implicits. It opens up a lot of flexibility, gives you a lot of damage. And so, but yeah, this is just Essence crafted with accuracy until you hit spell suppression and just take what you get, craft life or whatever you're missing. This is a good short bow. I don't know if this is going to exist, honestly, or be able to exist because of the new Divine price. You need 1 Divine and 1 Exalted Orb to make this, and Dread Essences and Porcupine Bow. So this is like the big first investment. It would be great to get this. If Divines are just stupid expensive, I am going to have to go Stormcloud, which is very disappointing because that is a massive DPS loss. But I mean, that's perfect. I mean, that's way more than enough DPS for T16s, obviously. But this is a really solid bow if I can get it. That's the plan. The quiver is just Essence crafted with accuracy or zeal until you hit accuracy or something. It's the accuracy implicit quiver. It says broadhead, but it's not. Just spell suppression life and some res. The chest is unveiled avoid. If you can't unveil avoid, like if divine orbs are too expensive and you can't get an unveil, it's just gonna have to be it's just literally gonna have to be crafted avoid, and then I'm gonna have to get a better implicit on my boots for higher avoid chance on the boots, because it's currently a lesser currency, but I'll just have to get higher than that if I have to bench craft 25%. But yeah, it's just T1 spell suppression roll, 6-link Triumphant. 6-link Triumphants usually pop up quite early because of the div card for 6-link chests, so I'm hoping to grab one of those. Yeah, and like I said, the gloves. A good tip is you get your implicits first on your dragon scale, and then use a fractured fossil to make 2 of them so that you can like sell one for profit. Since you put in the effort to get the first one, might as well make a second one for profit, because it will copy the implicits over. It will not copy the, it'll reroll everything else like a Chaos Orb, though. You can't just, like, copy all the stats like a mirror or anything like that, but yeah. The boot, spell suppression, some strengths. I needed strength, movement speed, life, res, pretty simple. +1 fire. This is basically just fire reforges until you hit something okay, or just get it off the ground. Obviously, these can sometimes drop. Polaric is a big first investment. I would love to have Polaric, but obviously if I can't have that, I mean, also I would love to have Death Rush if I can too, but you know, just a regular ring is going to be fine like that if I have to. It's not that big of a deal. This one's a flammability ring though. I would really like to get flammability on my ring before I do mapping or GD specifically. I don't have to have this for mapping, but this is just caster reforges. It's actually easier this league, like I said, because it's not more common caster reforges anymore. You can just hit this with single caster reforges since flammability is the only thing you want. I got really lucky with this reforge since I hit Dex on it, but and then I used a Veiled Chaos Orb for the life. Obviously, if Divine Orbs are actually insanely expensive and I can't lock Suffix, it's going to be a lot harder to hit that though, so that is something to keep in mind. Diadian, I want to get this in Heist for sure before I even do mapping. But yeah, we just have some flasks. I have them nerfed already on prefixes. It feels really good in maps, so it's fine. The skills, we have the 6-link. Obviously, one of these you replace with Prolif. If you just can't get it on your gloves, you need Prolif. Gloves, the Frenzy, Culling Strike, Defiant Spanner, Flame Dash. We have our auras, Arcanist brand setup. And then explode. Okay, this is the expensive setup. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this early. This is hopefully something I get from blueprints, but with this, I'll have, it's like a 2 mil DPS loss if I don't have this, 2.2 mil. But you need Divergent Divine Blessing, Divergent Inspiration, Anomalous Increased Duration. I just wanted to show this tech in the video because it's what I'm going to be doing. I know I probably won't have this early, but this is a really good way because it only costs, what is it? 35 mana to cast Wrath. It's absolutely ridiculous. So this is really, really good to get, but obviously you have to have the flask on. So it's, unless, if you don't have a Mage Blood, this is only for mapping, which is what I'm doing. I'm not bossing, I'm mapping. So that's the 4 POBs. I would normally never go that into detail, but since I know some of you like to follow what I do, I decided to show exactly, break it up into 4. This is exactly what I'm going to be doing. But let's go ahead and jump into the strategy. Hey everyone, I'm going to go ahead and go over the strategies now. This is going to be the last part of the video. It's going to be pretty quick after this demonstration part, since it's mainly just PoE planners that you can follow if you want to follow the strat. But before I get into it, EH is going to stand for Endless Heist, SOC is going to stand for Stream of Consciousness, GD is going to stand for Grand Design. We have the 2 keystones here. Your maps have a 1% increased pack size per allocated notable. I think we covered this earlier. Stream of Consciousness, you're probably familiar with this already, but if you didn't play last league, this is a way that people get to basically farm, create their own in-game experience on the Atlas, because you don't need Sextants or Scarabs or anything, and you can block league mechanics that you don't want. So anyway, the Harvest Expedition Grand Design Rush. So I have a casual version and a degenerate version that I'm going to be following, because it involves a lot of rigorous heisting. If you don't like heist at all, you're definitely going to want to check out the casual strat. I did this last league and it felt pretty solid, but I think this will feel way better. That's why I'm going with this. But obviously, you know, this is what most people are going to want to enjoy if they want to do some Harvest and Expedition. It's going to involve heist, either 1 hour not endless or 3 endless. I'm not going to go over endless heist since I have like a whole video on it and it would take forever to go into it. But definitely check that out. I'll link it. You either collect contracts up until Katava and then run them all in like an hour, get a few hundred chaos, or, you know, a couple hundred, whatever you can get out of it, or you go endless for a bit until you have your mapping set up. So, and then after that, it's go complete Atlas like most people do, and then once you have your Atlas complete, it's time to Stream of Consciousness, and you get to enjoy the Kalandra League mechanic. You know, you don't have to be a degenerate like me and sit in heist, so obviously this is what a lot of people like to do, because, I mean, people like to play the League for the League mechanic, right? But you do have to do this for a few days. That's why Stream of Consciousness is a bit unfortunate, because you will have to sit here for multiple days until Grand Design is viable. Because for Grand Design, you do have to have Sextants for Harvest and Scarabs for Expedition. You're going to want both Sextants for Harvest. That's why it's pretty rough. And if you don't care, you could just drop the Sextants and only do Expedition with Scarabs until Harvest Sextants are available. That's obviously an option. It's going to be basically farming life force if you don't know how to do the crafting, or you do the crafting with the life force you get. So this is what I did last league. It went pretty well. I mean, I got my Mage Blood week 1, all that stuff, but I do have some changes I wanted to do since I'm not a massive fan of Stream of Consciousness anymore. So that's why we're going to be doing Heist, and I'm going to be capping reveals in about 8 hours. Even with playing pretty casually, you can do it in 8 hours, I've found out. It takes about 6.2 hours at maximum efficiency to get 255 reveals in endless heisting, because basically you get to get all of your reveals for free. And after you level after that, you can't get them for free anymore. Obviously, you have to go buy them from people or go farm them yourself. But when you do endless, you have the luxury of being able to get all of your reveals for free, since you can de-level and reset the vendor. The way this is going to work is I'm going to go do demo for raw currency and use the raw currency like chaos to buy chance orbs to sustain my deception contracts with Gianna. Now, the way you get Gianna is you do a lockpicking contract with Karst to unlock Huck, do a demolition contract with Huck to unlock Niles, a deception contract with Niles to unlock Vendiri, and then a demo contract with Niles to unlock Gianna. Now, normally with Endless Heist, you do demo with Tibbs, but since we need to level up Tibbs, we're going to do demo with Vendiri, lockpicking with Karst, deception with Gianna, so that we can level them up for blueprints. But after I get my reveal cap, we don't actually go straight to blueprints, since I want to be leveled and have some decent gear. So we're going to go do our Atlas progression. We're going to complete our Atlas, and we're going to, at the end of it, or near the end, we're going to start buying blueprints, since we'll have a lot of money by then. We're going to, Saturday, we're going to go back to Heist, and I'm going to spend all Saturday in blueprints, farming replica uniques, enchanted armaments, and alt quality gems if I have to. Now, this is where the issue is that this is going to take a lot of knowledge, because if you don't have a prior knowledge of what replicas are going to be good by just walking into the room and what alt qualities are going to be good, you're going to have a much harder time, obviously. So this is like where you might want to consider this if you don't want to go through the pain of blueprints. And then you go to grand design. Let's cover the Atlas trees though. So this is going to be just, I decided to include this. This is like kind of the idea I had for just progressing my Atlas. Harvest was going to be here just to craft my gear if I'm missing some pieces, like the flammability ring, for example. But obviously, early on, I'm just going to want Atlas progress. I decided to do the bestiary thing to start collecting iron ore missions, because you'll see soon why that is. But we also have the goal shrine set up here. So this was the plan for this. This is the Stream of Consciousness tree I decided to put together for you guys that want to do Stream of Consciousness. It involves goal if you want to use goal, but shrines are still good even without goal, just for speeding up maps and more monster packs. And then we have some heisting. If you do heist on the map device, obviously if you don't want to do heist on the map device, you can drop these. You're not actually running the heist or anything like that. So if you don't like heist, that has nothing to do with it. You would just farm these up and sell them. Sell the blueprints you get, sell the contracts you get, because with the map device, you could get potentially 3 smugglers per map. That's why it's pretty strong there, but you could definitely like pivot out of that, obviously, if you want to do something else. This is just like a rough idea I put together if you need some guidance or you want an idea of what you could do. 125 points if you don't have invitations, obviously, done. Anyway, this is the big boy tree. This is the grand design tree. I've spent so long on this thing. I've been trying to min-max it, and this is looking pretty juiced. 42% pack size is going to be great baseline before we even alch the map. It's basically, you may see like random nodes that don't really make sense. That's because they just give pack size. They're really just there for increased pack size. So, like this one, any 2 point for 1% pack size is usually taken, like Rogue Metamorph. Although this one's actually useful because of the Arch Nemesis recipes. This might be pretty cool. We got, yeah, like the Alva, Delve, all that good stuff. We have the shrines. I decided strong boxes over like any kind of heist or anything like that. But the main thing, obviously, is the Harvest and Expedition. Bestiary over here, we're going to be doing Einhar missions. We mainly just take this because it's a lot of pack size. I wanted to go Eater altars because they pop up more often, they synergize better, but I'm not really sure. I might switch this up, but this looks pretty strong. Like the amount of pack size you get from pathing left is just absurd, and I still do get some decent quant altars, so it's not that bad. I would just hate to lose all this pack size over here just to have a slightly better chance at maybe some quant altars, you know? But anyway, these are the 3 trees. I'm going to be linking everything, all the PUBs, everything, if you want to follow along. I'm looking really forward to this league start, though. I think it's going to be a blast. And I will see you Friday. Go ahead and follow Twitch if you want to watch it all done live week 1. But yeah, I'll see you guys.